Can you hear me?
Hello. Let me make sure I can hear you. Just a second. I need to make sure that my... Oh, Lord have mercy. I should be able to hear you. Okay. Maybe it's not... Wait, hang on. Oh, it's not set in Zoom. Okay. Select a speaker. Okay. Try again.
Hello.
Yes. Hello. I can hear you now. How's it going? Good morning.
Hey, Jason. Yeah, good to speak to you again.
Yeah.
So I had a quick question about some sensory experiences I'm having in meditation. When I'm doing active visualization, sigils or dharana or things like that, I'm having some kind of like sensory distortions.
Yes.
Say I was doing like the middle pillar ritual, all of the visualizations feel like they're probably like 6 inches off the center line of my body, kind of like as if they were here instead of being actually aligned with how I feel in my body. It goes away after a time, and I kind of get these like body distortions. Like my right eye will feel like higher on my body than my left eye, and it's always on the right side of my body. So I'm kind of wondering, is that just like my mind playing tricks on me before I get to a deeper relaxed state, or have you heard of this before? Is it indicative of anything?
Yeah. So generally nothing to worry about. But let's get some specifics. So middle pillar, is it just the middle pillar or lots of things?
Any like active visualization. So if I were doing the if I were focusing on a point of light in the center of my forehead, it would feel like it would be 6 inches off to the right or more. If I were creating like an astral avatar of myself, it would feel like it's not actually superimposed over my body. It feels like it's 6 or 7 inches to the right, and then I kind of have to steer it back centrally.
Okay. So you're talking about essentially you're talking about it's the language is so tricky with this, but you're talking about mentally perceived things, not you're literally seeing something with your eyes.
Yeah, essentially, like if I were doing the middle pillar, which is supposed to align with your like spinal column, sort of, it feels like it's not actually relating to my physical body. It feels like shifted.
Yes.
Kind of.
So this is an excellent observation, and this is one of the important reasons why you're doing these things, right? So it's like a more like New Agers will talk about balancing your energy and stuff like that. But basically what you're doing is you're perceiving the energetic structures correctly, but now you want to bring them into alignment, right?
Yeah. Or at least I was curious if this is indicative of something within my meditation practice or within my body, or, what it correlates
to.
Yeah.
Right. Nadine, if you don't mind, I'm just going to turn off your video for now, just so we don't buffer. But if you'd like to ask that, thank you. But we can certainly turn it back on if you have a question when you have it. Okay, thank you for your understanding. All right. Yes, this is a great question. So basically what you're correctly perceiving your energetic structures, right, or where the energy is naturally going, and you're perceiving that it's misaligned, which is normal because these things are misaligned for most people, right? It's like this. It's just like our culture doesn't even recognize they exist, let alone know practices to bring them into alignment. So this is a very, 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 very good observation that you had, right? So basically, what you're doing is you're perceiving that things are aligned, not quite. They're kind of off, or they're right. So
yeah, if I could use an analogy, it's like if you were driving a car and it had a steering misalignment, you kind of have to constantly correct back to center but it's with any visualization that I do. So
great. So this is literally like the energetic equivalent of Hatha yoga, right? Where with Hatha yoga, you're doing these exercises to bring yourself into postural alignment, right? I mean, think about how bad posture people have now. Yesterday, there was an article, not to go on a tangent, but there was an article that came out yesterday that some of you may have seen, that people are growing horns on their skulls now because of cell phones. Did you see this?
Oh, I saw, yeah, where it was children are developing these like weird bone adhesions in their head.
Yeah, they're growing up like this, and so their skull is starting to make calcium deposits this way to counterbalance the weight.
Oh,
So they're
wow.
going
Okay.
forwards. There's the mark of the beast for you. So not, just to be goofy. But so why wouldn't it be the same, or even more so for the energetic structures, particularly because, all esoteric traditions basically assure us that the physical body is only the outward manifestation of the energetic form. Right. So basically, so so this is great, right? So what you want to do is you're perceiving these structures, and now you want to bring them back into alignment, right? Using these same practices. Middle pillar is great. Lesser benching ritual, all the pentagram rituals are really good. Astral travel in general, by which I mean, I like your phrase of astral avatar. That was very good. But the general, becoming aware of. It's not even really separating the astral body, but it's becoming aware of it, the astral form in the imaginal realm, which I've talked about at length in the astral projection course on magic.me.
Mm.
Let me put it this way, shifting your locus of attention into that level of reality and that form, moving around with that, doing rituals with that, and then consciously reuniting and realigning with the physical body. All of this stuff brings this stuff into alignment, essentially by will, right? You will it, and the really fine tools for that are, is Raja Yoga, right? Okay. Raja Yoga will deeply align that stuff, right?
I guess the other concern that I had is with astral stuff specifically, because in your courses you're talking about like always going up. So I was kind of curious if like if your astral body, so to speak, were to travel sideways, is that just like leading to places that are misaligned? Or
when you say sideways, what do you mean?
Like, so if I were to imagine my astral body before traveling upwards, like you describe in your exercises, but It's like 6 inches off to the right of my body, is it like moving sideways before I'm going up?
Oh,
does that matter?
That literally doesn't matter. Okay. So this is actually an interesting thing to unpack a little bit. So Crowley, so again, with Crowley is not always a reliable source. Mm-hmm. However, he's a lot more of a reliable source than basically all writers about magic in our current period.
Like right? Even the Golden Dawn guys? Or
Crowley was a Golden Dawn guy.
Yeah.
Right? I mean the people who are currently alive writing right now.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Right? Like the knowledge has degenerated so much from the era of the Golden Dawn that modern writers, by and large, I don't want to say they're not worth reading, but you'll make much faster progress going to, as anyone takes any academic course on anything in the humanities, one of the first things they tell you is always go to primary sources. Right? Is extremely important in magic. Of course, you can always keep going back and back and back, and you're never going to get some type of pure source. And in fact, the quest for the one pure source of magic is kind of its own madness in a way, because there's no end to that quest. But Crowley mentions this in, I think, Liber O. It's either Liber O or Notes for an Astral Atlas. I'm pretty sure it's Liber O. And I don't know, maybe somebody else knows, but to be completely frank with you, I don't know where he got that from, right? Like he always says, and basically when he says travel up, what he says is preliminary to any astral voyage, you will separate out into the astral body, and then you basically visualize yourself going up, away out of the earth until you're in space.
Right.
At which point you then use a sigil to visualize where you want to go. I think that's good operating procedure. His point was you don't want to go down because this is the realm of the Qliphoth and the shades and things like that.
Yeah.
Now that said, I think that betrays a lot of that. There's a lot of just basic Sunday school Judeo-Christian ideology in there. Like, don't go down. That's the world of hell. So I actually, so this is, let's call it a testable hypothesis, right? But I think in general, what I will say is, in my experience, it's actually good practice to go all the way up, because then there's nothing else there except space in a way, at least in your imagination. You're not distracted by all of the stuff here. So
yeah, and to be clear, like this kind of misalignment of bodily perception, I guess, fades inevitably. It's like, oh, okay, I'll stay in meditation long enough, and it's just kind of like, oh, this is sensory phenomena. Like, it's not super important. This is sort of where you're getting to at the end of it anyways.
Okay.
I was just kind of curious if like that's correctable, like you just keep meditating basically, or
Yes, you're learning to use your astral body.
okay.
Right, it's that simple, right? And becoming aware of this is an incredibly important step, because now you have sensory and tactile, but you have firsthand experience of it. I mean, this is really one of the first tasks on the path, right? You have firsthand experience of it. Now you can move around it, and now you have an immediate. Now this has nothing to do with books, right? It's like now you have an immediate sense of it. Now you can work with it and bring it into alignment. And by the way, do you think that as you bring your astral form into balance and alignment with your physical form, will that have positive or negative effects on your life, your outlook, and basically everything? Yes or no?
Well, yes, and I can sort of attest to that because it's also filtering out into like my physical exercise. Like I'm noticing that misalignment in, physical movements. So like starting strength lifts or things like that.
Oh, you just, I love starting strength. That's awesome.
Yeah. So,
just don't drink the gallon of milk a day.
Yeah. But like,
I started doing starting strength again recently.
Yeah. I started up the program fairly recently, but I'm noticing like, oh, my right foot feels like it's not in the right position.
Yep.
Sort of similarly. And then I'm realizing I'm sort of like giving myself a little bit of I feel like it's also like kind of an anxiety feedback loop, right? Where it's like, oh, am I doing this right? Like, is my right side off? And then,
right.
Anyways, that was the main question I had.
I mean that you're in a great spot, and it's certainly not. It's you don't want it's nothing to be anxious about unless you have 400 pounds on your back when you're doing starting strength.
Yeah,
the astral body. No, I mean,
yeah,
but I mean, think about it, right? It's like every culture. I mean, this is like Tai Chi, Qigong, yoga, like all these things throughout all the world. I mean, that's basically what all those things are about, right? Acupuncture. It's about aligning the etheric or the energetic body, the etheric in that case, not necessarily the astral, although that proceeds on later. It's aligning this. It's basically attaining health for the physical body by aligning the energetic body. That's what all that stuff is about, right? Mm-hmm. And our culture, whatever that means now, has basically, established the mind-body split long ago. Like in the Enlightenment period, it divided those things. It's a terrible. A house that is divided cannot stand. So, you're basically just rediscovering parts of yourself, that our culture says don't exist. And so just keep working at them. The Western magic rituals certainly are great, but you could also check out Eastern stuff. Raja Yoga is great. Chinese medicine stuff is great. But I wouldn't obsess about it too much. I mean, I think just doing just doing the middle pillar and, just doing a pentagram ritual and a middle pillar and maybe doing some astral work and meditation on a regular basis is going to bring that stuff into alignment. And it's not like there's no, don't push it, it's not a race. Like some of the things you're saying, I hear you're anxious or stressed about it. Like just let go of all of that, because the only thing with energy work and the energy body that is, I don't even want to say dangerous, but people throw around this phrase Kundalini syndrome or Kundalini psychosis and things like that, which I have basically what you don't want to do is force your energetic body to do anything, right? You want to, it's and this, right? It's like this is another reason why I love starting strength. It's exactly the same as it's like starting strength is so great because like you just do your lifts, you rest, you eat. You come back, you just do your lifts. And it's like,
add 5 pounds, and keep going.
Right. And you never at any point force it. Like when I started doing starting strength in my early 30s, and I went from basically Julian Assange mode, living off of sugar-free Red Bull.
Right.
And I went from deadlifting 40 pounds, a big achievement at the time, to deadlifting like 275 pounds within like 3 months or something like that.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, it's insane, right? That was a real that was a very transformative experience for me. It was one of the very formative, it made me realize, and also it was interesting that the stronger I got, the less interested I became in esoterics in a way. I don't want to say less interested, but it was maybe more properly balanced, because I didn't have to constantly there's a real sense of confidence and competence that comes from physical strength.
Mhm.
That is just, anyways, I think you know what I'm saying because you've done
Yeah.
my true belief is that the body is the unconscious.
Okay. So you like are carrying like energetic or memory stuff. Like, I have to say, kind of like, I'm not sure if it's even genetic necessarily or epigenetic.
Can be.
I'm a big Dune head, so
Oh, nice.
that kind of stuff is
Yeah, I love Dune.
always interested me. It's like, okay, what are we carrying around in our bodies? Like,
Well, everything, right? I mean, it's like, the Reich's idea of character armor, muscular memory. I think that's definitely true. And just our bodily sensations, and also certainly genetics and epigenetics, absolutely, right? So I think that, this whole Freud, I take very little from Freud. I think that Freud, it's like you would do better just learning Kabbalah than learning Freud. Jung, I like to some extent, but Jung made so many concessions in a way with, he watered things down so much to not seem like a total nut. He made so many concessions with consensus reality by psychologizing everything and saying collective unconscious and things like this, and using phrases like that. I don't know how valuable his stuff actually is, but he was definitely on the right track. But I think Reich was excellent, and I'm just giving you my lived experience. It's like, Freud hypothesized, oh, there's an unconscious, there's a hidden part of the brain that's directing. It's like, well, it's the body in my experience. The whole body is the mind, the brain. It's not just one part of it. This is a Western conceit, or a Descartian, perhaps, or excuse me, a Cartesian conceit. There's no such word as Descartian. But all you have to do is do 10 days of Vipassana and you'll figure that out. Or do starting strength, or do Reichian therapy, or do yoga. People who do yoga all the time know this, right? It's like the body is the mind. It is the root of the mind, and is where karma is worked out as well. And the energetic body is a part of that, and you must become aware of it as a magician, right? So, and it's all integrated. These things aren't separate. So, in a way, like the whole conceit of astral travel or separating from the body to go somewhere else is certainly useful at a stage, but it needs to be interpreted correctly and not, I would say, it needs to be contextualized in its correct place and not turned into a dualist thing where one is better than the other. In the same way that many chaos magicians completely reject the astral world, it's also a complete mistake, right? Because how are you going to get control of your own psychic, your own lived experience of the universe without controlling the imaginal levels of it? There's no possible way.